I'm your huckleberry.
This is the Smoking Guns Podcast.
No G with a Z, POD, Smoking Guns Podcast, coming to you again on another Monday night. Finally in season. We are a podcast that deals with professional football in San Antonio, specifically with the San Antonio Gunslingers of the Indoor Football League, the 0-1 San Antonio Gunslingers.
Yeah.
Ouch. We'll talk all about that here in just a minute. My name is Phillip and RC. I am joined, as always, by my good friends, Leo Yamas.
What's up, Smoking Guns Posse?
And RC Woods.
Hello, beautiful people. Mwah.
Well, let's not mince words. Hey, the San Antonio Gunslingers showing up, like the Gunslingers showing up and watching the feed. Good to see you guys. James Palmer checking in. Howdy. Jay Washington commenting on things before we even started the show. And then, of course, the missions highlighter. Got to meet him finally on Saturday night. Good to see you, sir. So let's not mince words. They're 0-1, and it was not what we wanted.
It was disappointing.
Painful? Can I say painful?
I mean, you can.
Yeah, disappointing first week for sure. But, you know,
Alex Sling checking in.
We're far from packing it in at this point. But, yeah, I was disappointed.
Oh, so yeah, look, we're going to talk and we're going to be completely honest. There are some things that I loved. There are some things I didn't love. There are some things that I know will get better, and so I'm not really worried about.
Right.
In the midst of all of that, I'm not stressed. I'm not panicking. We don't know what either of these teams are right now. We watched them play one another. Look, at the beginning of the NFL season, I watched the Dallas Cowboys absolutely destroy the Cleveland Browns. At that point, people said, and I think I even mentioned this on the show at one point when we were doing the movie podcast, people came to me or contacted me and said, you must be really happy right now. And I said, I have no idea what this means. I don't know if this means the Cowboys are good or the Browns are really bad. It's the Browns were really bad. That's what that meant. But we had no idea what that meant. We don't know what this means. We may find out that Tulsa is one of the best teams in the IFL. And we went toe-to-toe with them, and we've got some things to figure out and shore up. We may figure that out. We may find out Tulsa is not that good, and we're not either. Like, we don't know what any of this means. So let's not overreact. Let's not panic. And you know, but we do have to talk about Jay Washington said, where's my manners? Howdy, y'all. No, jump right in there and talk about. His comment was about the positive yardage rule, one of my favorite rules in all of football, and we'll talk more about it a little bit later. But let's start at the start. Let's start where we'd like to start when we talk about game day experiences at the Freeman. And let's talk about the experience itself before and during and even after the game. Before we get onto the field, I know everybody wants to jump right in and start talking about on the field, but let's talk about the experience because there were some things to talk about.
Just a little bit.
Yeah? Okay. Where you want to go?
I want to go to the events that they had for the fans on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, you're right. Good call.
Yeah.
So I actually went to the event on Wednesday there at Gunslinger Nation.
Right.
Loved it. There was a great crowd. They had food for us. They had drinks. I was able to get this awesome sweatshirt with my 6 shooters. Can you see that?
Yes,
very cool. Wow.
I love that they have now really cool merchandise for the 6 shooters.
Very cool.
We were able to meet the players. We were able to meet the coaches. I felt very energized. There was a lot of energy there at Gunslinger Nation. The food was great. I know that Smoky Mo's was there. They had some really good desserts. I love desserts. And it was just a really amazing time. You saw the kids having fun. That there was about six shooters there. They were taking pictures. I met some new fans who were super excited about being season ticket holders. So I appreciate that they took the time to make an event there so we can get to meet the players, get to meet the coaches. I was really impressed with Jonathan Bain. I at first thought that he was going to be one of the players, but he's actually one of the coaches. So
Yes.
just getting that little information straight really helped me out. And I just think it was a really wonderful experience and thoughtful experience. They thought of the fans, and that's something that doesn't always happen with a lot of these leagues. And I know, Leo, you were there on Thursday, but a different event.
Yeah, it was the season ticket holder party that they had up in the I forget the name of the club that's up there on the second floor. You got to go up the stairs in the Freeman Coliseum. Very good turnout there. There was some merch giveaways of some really cool stuff. They were also had
What'd
a
you give
table
me?
for sale.
There was
I
merch
got
stripped away. What'd you give me? What'd you give
I
me?
got the new ball. See, you can barely see it right there. The ball
do
with the
see it.
Texas flag.
I
I
got you
didn't get
this, Phillip, the pendant.
I didn't get
Right.
in the giveaway. I actually purchased my ball because you could purchase stuff as well as win. Frontier Club. Thank you, Jordan. Very cool setup up there. There's tables, there's TVs all the way around. There's a full service bar there. They had food from tacos brought in. I'm trying to remember the name of the restaurant. I can't think of it right now off the top of my head. Maybe Jordan will chime in, but they catered their fajitas, beef fajitas, chicken fajitas, and Coach Manas wasn't there, but ownership was there. Players were there. So we got to hear from James Stubing, and we got to hear from Don and their appreciation for the San Antonio Gunslingers season ticket holding crew. And I got to see a bunch of fans there and some of the OGs and supporters of the show. So it was a good event. Alex McSwain was there, took some pictures with him, and then of course Greg and Kim got to hang out with them for a bit. So yeah, it was a good time and very solid event. As anything that's ever hosted by the Gunslingers organization, they're always they
Top
pay a
notch.
lot. Yeah, top notch. Teca Molina, thank you. Teca Molina Tacos. They catered the event.
Yeah.
Matenga's even had to bring in. Matenga's crew was there. They are season ticket holders, and they brought in pizza. So we got to hang
Vegas
out.
was there also on Wednesday.
So
they did double duty.
So I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I will tell you at the beginning of the game, I had stopped to get something to eat on the way, but in case you can't tell, I like to eat. And so when I got up to the booth and I'm like changing clothes and I'm setting up all my stuff, somebody goes, "Hey, you want a slice of pizza?" And I'm like, "Yes," thinking it's going to be Matanga's. And somebody hands me a Pizza Hut box. Pizza Hut's fine. Like I'm not mad at a slice of cheese pizza from Pizza Hut, but I get it. And I'm like, I get the box and I'm like, yeah, that's not what I thought I was going to get.
Not Matanga's.
That's not Matanga's.
Not
but,
Matanga's.
I was very excited there for a second. So, yeah. So coming into the game, I understand there were. So remember, first game of the season, everybody has to figure things out. I know that there were some complaints. I've already heard from the Gunslingers organization that some folks got overcharged on parking.
Mm-hmm.
Got charged $15 instead of $10. They got the information over to the parking crew and said, "Hey, that's not right," and it got corrected. So I don't think everybody got overcharged, but a certain amount of people did get overcharged on parking, and that stinks. That's something that they will lock down and feel better about. See, here's the mission highlighter. It looks like he paid 15.
Yep, supposed to be 10.
Supposed to be 10. That's the contracted price, and that's just one of those communication things. Remember, they've had rodeo stuff there for 2 or 3 weeks, and so there's probably a different rate. Alex McSwain also paid. It looks like our people, Jason Wood, Alex McSwain, Jay Washington, the people that should never get overcharged for parking are the ones that got there early and got overcharged for parking. Sorry about that, folks. And I'm extending that apology from the San Antonio Gunslingers directly. We've heard directly from the Gunslingers, and they apologize profusely for the miscommunication, and they've said it right, and we're not going to have that problem again. Very, very sorry if you got overcharged for parking. And then one of those things that the Gunslingers organization has been super excited about all season, all off season, was the change from Aramark to a new concessionaire. And the whole time I've had my fingers crossed and been like, great, I hope that works out really well, because that can also go badly. Turns out there are some areas for improvement around concessions, I heard.
True.
Mainly getting through lines quicker and being able to get back to the game that you paid for, that you want to be a part of. And we've, again, heard from the Gunslingers organization, and they have a plan. They have plenty of time with a month between now and the game. Jason Woods saying the food was great. Food was good.
Mm-hmm.
Lines were bad. Lines were horrible. Only two concession stands open is what Mission's Highlighter says. So
I heard that as well from others, that the food was actually very good. It just took forever to get it.
James Palmer
were good.
James Palmer says, I just ended up getting McDonald's after the game. James, same. I did the same thing. I stopped at McDonald's on my way home. I usually do. I got a 3-hour drive home. I need some food on my drive home. So
that's 3.
You did
also,
too.
McDonald's, yes.
So McDonald's was very happy there was a Gunslinger game in town. They got paid. So those are some of the missteps when it comes to the experience there. But once again, just nice to be in the Freeman. I love looking at that field with that oversized logo on the middle of it. Nice and clean, no ads on it, no big pieces of vinyl taking up field space. The wall looked great. I watched the broadcast on Sunday with my daughters, made them watch the Gunslingers game, and pointed out the Smoking Guns logo every time it popped up. I'm like, hey, there we are. That's us. That's our thing. Looked great. Alex McSwain says, Phillip, how was your new spot? So everything takes getting used to. I like it. I like being up there a lot. We can see a lot better as far as what yard line they're on, and all of that kind of stuff is much easier to see. It's a little bit harder, and Ralph, if he's still listening, will probably attest to this. It's a little bit harder to catch numbers because they're always turned sideways to you instead of, back to front like we had for the last couple of years, where we were looking at everybody's back or front with them either going away or coming toward us. But, and James Palmer said, you almost need some binoculars to see me up there. So what's really interesting about it, James, and Ralph and I both have the same opinion, our view now of the field is almost too close, too good a view for our binoculars. That almost makes it cumbersome to try to watch it through binoculars, but it's almost too far for a couple of older guys who probably need to go see the eye doctor again here in the next few months. It's right in this sweet spot where neither of them feel really comfortable yet. We'll get there. You can hear us, get bobbled up on some numbers and which player did what a couple of times and some of that kind of stuff. But overall, a much improved area for us to call the game. I liked it a lot. How
much earlier do you have to go before the game starts?
So we have a production meeting. We did this. We are going to try to always have a production meeting at 4:15 or so, 4 to 4:15. I need to get there before that, so I usually have to roll in somewhere around 3:30 is where I try to aim for. And so that's fairly early when you live 3 hours away. You end up leaving before lunchtime to get there, which is not a problem. I love the drive, but yeah, so we got a whole conversation going on about McDonald's in the comment section.
Oh my gosh.
Like a whole conversation of going on about that.
That's not a bad idea.
What's that? McDonald's?
The conversation that's going on. It started with Jason Wood's suggestion that the Gunslingers. Well, that's the tough part: getting the sponsorship from McDonald's, and they can have a McNuggets minute where you get free nuggets if the Gunslingers score within the last minute of either half. Kind of like what they do at the basketball games. If someone misses 2 free throws, you get free Chick-fil-A, I think it is. So yeah, some sort of gimmick like that with a food sponsor would be pretty cool.
Another thing that I think affected some people's experience. Some people loved it. Some people bothered by it. Jason Woods brings it up. Who was flying the drone? The drone is contracted by the league. The IFL contracted a company to come in and do a drone cam for select games throughout the season. They won't be here every time, but we were the select game in this week 1 of the season. It was interesting. I think all of that stuff, trying to make the experience better for folks at home and all that kind of stuff, I think that's fun. I did not like the camera that they use on the drone. It looked very dull compared to our production cameras, which may say something about our equipment and not so much about their drone equipment. But I didn't like the camera a whole lot, and it was a bit distracting for me during the game that it was flying around. I kept thinking that a flag was being thrown because they would sweep it in at the end of a play.
Mm-hmm.
So the play's ending, they would bring it off the field because they wanted to stay off the field during the plays, and they'd swing the drone in and over the spot of the ball. And every time, not every time, but a lot of times I was like, there's a flag. And once I thought somebody had thrown frisbees at the referee. I was watching on the.
I heard you say that. Yeah,
I was watching on the monitor that we have there of what our feed is, and they were going back for the challenges, and I just see it sweep in and then just kind of bank, and I'm like, who threw a referee at the official? So.
I want to know who was the guy maneuvering it, because he was very skilled. I will say that. Those
guys are good.
Yeah.
And I may be talking about something I know nothing about, but I believe I heard. So don't take this as gospel truth or anything, but I believe I heard that they have 8 of those up there. And so drones run out of battery power very quickly. And so they're swinging it around, and they're having to change out batteries and recharge and do all that kind of stuff. So they're just doing a circuit of those, and they have like 8 of them up there that they're just cycling through so that they can have a drone in the air through most of the game. It's cool.
Makes sense.
It's a neat little thing.
Cool.
I thought it was cool. I mean, we're the first. This is the first time that was ever used, right? This was the first game in the IFL that this was ever used. So that's kind of cool to be a little bit of a part of the history there with the league. I definitely liked some of the camera views and angles that we got from it. It was a little distracting at times. I think if they tone it down, maybe just to like 90% of where they were as far as it swooping around and moving around, just tone it down just a tiny little bit. But I have to say, like, some of the camera angles that we got from it, I noticed them flying it along the wall in front of the fans and getting video of the fans and their reaction. I thought that was really cool. So one person I think that really benefits from this a lot, not having to run around so much and try and capture as much as he can because he used footage from that, is poor Robert Seco, who I think runs a marathon on any given game night out there, just moving around.
And it's absolutely great from the production side of things, and just the added value to the production to have the if you've gone back and watched the broadcast, to have the outdoor view throughout the game. They did not just take one outdoor shot of the Freeman Coliseum and then just replay it, but you could actually see the sun setting throughout the times. I think they did it once at the beginning of the game, once at halftime, once at the end of the game, and you could actually see the light fading, the sun going down and that kind of stuff. That makes the whole thing feel more professional to me. We always get these blimp shots of arenas, whether it's basketball or baseball or football. We get this shot down on AT&T Center, or AT&T Stadium, or Frost Bank Center for games, and this felt more like a professional thing. And if they're going to be asking everybody for money for the broadcast from this point forward, then they need to add value to the production, and they're doing that. I see that they're doing that. So overall, I think the drone was fun. It was a little hard to get used to sometimes, and it was a little distracting at times, but
we'll get used to it.
Yeah, Alex McSwain.
Thumbs up for me.
Alex McSwain also impressed by the person flying it. It's moving quickly, turning on dimes. Definitely a professional drone flyer. Yes, he was in our production meeting, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. It's not gonna hit anything. It's not gonna crash." I kept getting worried as he swung around the field that he would get caught in a net, because we have those nets right next to the uprights. And if you make that corner too short, you just don't see that net, and you get a drone caught up in it. That's going to be a mess. But he always missed the net, so it was good.
Yeah,
great job.
They should plan. They should plan a shot like similar to. Have you guys seen the drone video of the Dallas Cowboys when the facility was new, their practice facility, and they actually flew that drone from outside the facility through the door and then through the locker rooms, through everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that would be cool if they could manage to do that, like maybe pregame from outside the Coliseum. Someone opens the front door, it goes in through the door, through the hallways as people are getting their merch, around the stands, and then into the locker room as the players are getting ready for the game. I think that would be really cool. That would be
kind of interesting to see how much you could get all in one sweep like that. A very cool added little thing. We don't know. It may be here the next time we have a home game, because our next home game is so far in the future that it may have cycled around.
3 weeks?
No, longer than that. There's 3 games between now and then, but there's also 2 bye weeks. We do not have another home game until April 26th.
The games.
It's almost a month away from where we are right now. So, yeah.
Yep, April 26th.
It'll go by fast.
Yeah, well, and we've got games to pay attention to between now and then. So, yeah, absolutely. What else experience-wise? I know concessions is a big deal. I loved the merch. You already mentioned the 6-shooter stuff. I love that they printed some of that stuff and have that available. The baseball jersey, I knew I had to have one from the moment I found they were coming, and I found out they were coming way before any of you guys did. Last week, I guess I can tell the story. Jordan won't get mad at me. Last week, just before or right as we went on for the show, I had the new 2025 football jerseys. He had them in red and white, blue, and black. And they were there, but he had received word that shipping may not come in on time. And so he's like, please don't preview those, because I don't know that we're going to have them. And then the next day he called me and said, I think I'm going to have some baseball jerseys printed just in case we don't have what I want, what I'm supposed to have there. I want to print these baseball jerseys. And man, I geeked out as soon as he said it. I was like, I want a baseball jersey. I don't even care if he gets his other things in. Those are great. But that's not what I want. I want that baseball jersey. They came out really good. They look really great. I liked the blue better than the black, but they were both great.
Well, Phillip, did you lose like 20 pounds? You look so slim in that shirt.
Right? It's very slimming.
Yeah.
No, it's it looks good. Small heart attack when I heard that, by the way. I imagine so when he heard that the thing wasn't coming in. So the merch was great. I love that they moved the merch table around a little closer to the door. I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, that was very smart.
I think there are probably people in past years that just did not ever make it to the merch table because it was all the way around the edge, and they just never made it that far before they got to their seats. So I love it. Alex McSwain mentioning the same thing closer to the entrance.
The line moved too.
Yeah,
the line really moved too. They're fast back there, getting the merch and getting the customers taken care of and moving along.
I got to get
And they
my
also sell merch at Gunslinger Nation. That's where I got this sweatshirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got to get a sticker for the back of my truck. I've been talking about it for like a year now, and I still haven't gotten one. I meant to get one at this game, but by the time I got out of our production meeting, the line was already very long at the merch booth, and I had other things I had to take care of. So I actually begged somebody to go pick up my baseball jersey because I couldn't do it. Thank you, Leo, for going in at halftime and picking up my baseball jersey for me, getting me taken care of that way. I appreciate you.
I got you, bro.
What else experience-wise did you guys notice or recognize?
I gotta give it up.
Like the halftime entertainment, and then that kick for cash.
God, that's fun.
I'll tell you a little story. So my husband Jerry, back in the day, I think in high school, he was actually a punter, and I think his longest kick or something was like 40 yards.
Okay.
Well, once he saw that, he said at the previous game last season, he did scan the QR code, but they didn't call him up. So he went on Amazon as soon as we got back home and bought one of those little stands that the football goes on. Because he's retired now. I don't know if you knew that. So he said he's going to start practicing so he can do that kick for cash. So that's very cool. I'm excited about that.
I love that there were a couple of guys that like struck the ball well, had good kicks. They just weren't online. That was very cool to watch. That's it's just fun. It's a lot of fun to watch that happen. I almost want us to go into a commercial break, although I love that we show it on the broadcast, but I just want to enjoy that. That's not the part of halftime where I want to be talking about what I think the Gunslingers need to do. I just want to watch and enjoy, but unfortunately, I have to work. But
well, that's when I had to watch the halftime stuff on the broadcast because that's when I was in line getting your jersey. So
appreciate you. Appreciate you.
I missed the kick for cash stuff and all that, but I was going to say experience-wise, for me, I've got to give it up, and we hear about it all the time, and, we've heard Don Rackler say, the 6 shooters are the best cheerleading squad. They're better than the Cowboys cheerleaders, the Cowboy girls and all that. And, people hear that, and people that know are like, yeah, and other people are just like, yeah, right, but you know what? You got to give it to those girls, man. They are consistently awesome, night in, night out. Every game, they're out there just giving it their all, engaging everyone, and smiles on their faces. You can tell they love what they're doing, and they're just a big part of the experience. And I have to give them that. The 6 shooters are top notch, no exaggeration, the best you'll see anywhere. I got to give him a hand.
Agree.
And it's amazing because Cassie, she's actually in grad school to become a physical therapist. Yeah. And she still has time to actually teach and manage this whole squad. There's about 18 or 19 of those young ladies, and they all either go to school, are teachers, moms. I mean, you can't imagine, but their passion for what they do, it really shows. And even when we did the event on Wednesday at Gunslinger, they were happy, smiles, willing to take pictures. And I just love the 6 shooters. I really do. I think they bring a whole new elegance and professionalism to the game.
Well, and I love that with our move over to the middle of the field up in the truly nosebleed section of the stadium, which is not a bad thing. There's not a bad seat at Freeman. That frees that area down on the end up above the field level so that they can be there. I think that's very cool. James Palmer says we should get the podcast to do kick for cash for charity or something. I mean, yeah, maybe. I'm
not kicking. Maybe y'all can kick. I'm not kicking.
I would be very embarrassed to kick in front of everybody. I know I can't do it. I know that it would be awful. I know that it would be terrible.
How about if you throw it? Could any of you guys throw it?
I'm game. I go out and kick. I don't care. If it's terrible, it don't matter to me.
Alex McSwain, owner Randy, sang a great national anthem. He does a great job every time he gets an opportunity to do that. Randy did a great job. Jay Washington says Leo needs to do the kick for cash. I agree with that. I am all for that happening. Mass Bandit of San Antonio, 6 shooters are the absolute best, especially the rookies on the squad. James Palmer, RC, would your kick end up the way you flip coins?
Oh, you have to bring that up again? Really?
We're never going to let that go.
I'm never going to live that down. Never.
Nope, you're not.
No, probably not.
Great experience. Great job by the Gunslingers. Yet again, just excellent. And I love the signs that I saw make their way into the stadium. The Deuce cards that Jason Woods and James Palmer had.
Hollywood,
those are very
amazing.
cool.
Yeah,
Heidi
great
had
idea.
that defense. I love those.
One kid had made a shirt that said guns up on one side, or I think it said get your guns up or guns up on one side. And then on the other side, he wrote throw me a t-shirt so that when they came out to do the t-shirt throw, he could flip it around. I don't know if he got one, but I like it. Very, very innovative. He was right under us, right below us. I thought that was pretty good.
I'm bringing my sign next game.
Oh, are you? What sign? Which sign?
The one behind me. I was going to bring it, but then I forgot,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. Bring it. Lois and I were waving our flags, so
we saw it. Good. I saw it over the edge of the wall and stuff. Yeah, no, you could. You're making your presence known for sure.
Along with the cowbells and the yellow flags.
So I heard. Now remember, I've got cans on through most of the game, so I don't hear a lot of what. Oh, and somebody mentioned him, the new hype man / stadium announcer, Roland Ruiz. He's a guy I've known for a while, and now he is working. Of course, he does San Antonio Spurs games. He does missions games, I believe, and now he's working with the Gunslingers. Great guy. I talked to him several times during the game, and I've talked to him before and gotten to know him. Very cool guy, and he's doing the stadium announcing. Now, I don't know about the hype side of things, if we were just missing Marcus for a game or if that's not going to happen anymore. In fact, I did not even think of it until now.
Nobody said whose house the whole game.
Nobody.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer. We'll have to teach that to Roland, I guess, and get him to.
So, speaking of Roland, so he's the guy doing the stadium announcement, the play-by-play that's in the stadium?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, well, you, next time you talk to him, tell him we don't make noise when the offense has the ball. That's the only criticism I had of him. He was great otherwise. But on 2 separate occasions that I could think of, he was trying to get us to make noise while our offense was in the huddle.
Yeah, that's not what we want to do. We've fought that battle for a long, long time. Jay Washington agrees. Thank you, Leo. We'll make sure Roland knows how to do it, how it's supposed to work. Anything else outside of the bounds of the game itself that we're missing that we haven't talked about yet? So good and bad.
How about the attendance? I thought that was great attendance.
Oh, let's not call it great attendance. We can do better.
We can do better, but it was good.
No,
I mean, even if you just drove by, the parking lot looked full.
I thought it was low. I think we need to get a lot more people there. I think the Gunslingers deserve a lot more fans in those stands. It was not
there.
I want us, and I know nothing. I haven't talked to anybody about attendance. I have a pretty good eye for this sort of thing, and I would have said it was probably 1,800 to 2,000. Something like that.
Yeah, I would agree somewhere around there.
Somewhere in that. I usually have a pretty good eye for it, and that's where I'd put it.
We're about 2/3 of the way what I was hoping. I was hoping to start around 3,000 to start the season. And yeah, I think you're right. We were about 2/3 of the way there. About 2,000.
Well, you know that other league had a fan event during the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I mean, I realize that we're not going to necessarily work together. We really tried to foster some of that idea of those two organizations working together. I think the Gunslingers were willing. I think the other league being a national kind of thing was not necessarily willing to do that. And that's okay. If we're not going to work together, that's fine. But actively working and scheduling things on top of each other is a bad idea. Like, that's just not good for anybody in football. So that was kind of a bummer. But, it won't be that way on the 26th.
It is what it is, but hopefully maybe a handful of people went there instead of the Gunslinger game. Maybe.
Yeah,
I know of some people that wore at the Brahmas event. I said the team name, but I don't know why it's
That's
not
fine.
a secret.
No, you can
It's
say
not a
it. We're not
secret.
allowed.
But yeah, they were at that event, and had that event not been going on, they've been to Gunslingers games, and I'm sure they would have been there. So yeah, it was unfortunate, double booking, I guess, simultaneous scheduling. So yeah, bummer. But
I haven't used this yet, but James Palmer says the IFL Network clip tool is cool and easy to use. That's a way that you can go on your IFL Network account, watch the game, find a play that you really like, and then you can clip that out and share that on social media. You should do that. What were y'all about to say about cowbells? No, we heard cowbells. Did I hear this is where I was going with that, Jay. Did I hear the announcement that they're not allowed to use air horns anymore? Nobody's allowed to use air horns. If you're
I missed it if there was one.
I thought I heard an announcement over the PA system that said that there was to be no use of air horns, and any air horn may get you thrown out, tossed out on your backside. I thought I heard that.
I didn't hear it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't hear any air horns throughout the game. So,
right. Heidi Higgins, hi y'all. Hi Heidi. She said she will always pick a Gunslingers for the Brahmas. Yeah, she said it. I think we tend to agree, since we kind of just did that as a show. We kind of did that. Jordan says, they said you could use them, but please be considerate of people around you when you blow them and point them up. I got you. Okay, that makes sense. I thought I heard something about air horns, and I thought it was they were not allowed anymore, but I like that. I like that announcement. Like, just take care of the people around you. Nobody wants that thing blown in their ear. James Palmer, by the way, needs that cup, Leo. He said he needs you to give him that cup. A big old Batman cup you got.
It's a huge cup. It is. I
love
it.
Some of the old fans that I missed the last couple of months.
Who you calling old?
Heidi, Diane, Valeria, Lolis, Jay, Greg, and Kimmy, all of them. I miss seeing them, hanging out with them. It was fun. Like a reunion.
Yeah, but I don't think they're old. I think they're very young.
I didn't say old. I meant friends. We've known them since the Commander days, some of them. So that's at least, 6 years, 7 years?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. 6. Yeah, I guess it's 6 now.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Washington says he's not old, but he missed us too.
Aw. I wasn't calling
good
y'all
seeing
old.
everybody.
Overall, just an excellent production and first time out of the gate. So there were a couple of things that were stumbles, maybe a little bit with concessions, with the parking. I trust that the Gunslingers organization and the Freemen are going to get those things worked out, and those won't be problems going forward. And so those little things don't bother me a whole bunch. I hate that there are probably some people that came to this and couldn't get a beer when they wanted to get a beer, and they were like, it was terrible. I don't ever want to go again. And that's a bummer because unfortunately some people, knee jerk into reactions like that. I hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, it does. That's a bummer though.
Well, I know Jen Lopez from the Brahma family. She went to this game and she's ready to get a suite. I mean, I was asking me questions about that. And like I tell people, literally it takes one game and you'll be a fan.
Jessica Palmer says, RC, those would be previous fans, not old fans. Just so you know.
There you go.
All right. Previous fans.
James Palmer, I think people moved away from our area because of my bell. And Jessica
That's a big old bell.
Jessica says, I provided people with earplugs because of his bell. And then Jordan says, brand new concession company, it's growing pains. Yeah, we
Yeah.
recognize that, and we know that you guys will get together with them, and we'll get that all figured out.
Yeah, there was the addition of the bar down in the party zone. There's the bar
right
there
by you guys.
Right by us. Right, that's dangerous.
Right behind you.
Yeah.
Hop, skip, and a jump.
That's dangerous. Loli's like, even before the game started, she's like, so we're gonna get a drink. And I was like, uh-oh. But once the game started, we were distracted.
Did you turn around and go, I don't know where to go. I have no idea where to go get in there.
Yeah. No. Yeah, they were right there, right behind us. You just literally turn around. So that's convenient.
Yep.
I don't think they had the service that they previously had. I'm sure it's another thing with the vendors in some of the suites on the side, though. So I don't know if that was just something that's still getting worked out, or if that's not going to be a thing anymore, or I don't know. If Jordan's on here and knows, maybe he can chime in on that, because some people did mention that at the game. So that was another thing that people were wondering about.
Alex McSwain says, might have already said this, but the food vendor is just filling in until an official food vendor can be established. I have not heard that before, but I'm sure if that's incorrect, Jordan will come in and correct that. Holly wants frozen margaritas to come
That would
back.
be great. I love the swirl, strawberry and mango, sugar on the rim.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
So let's transition. Experience was good overall. Let's transition to the field and the game. And we have to start at the start of the whole thing. I know there are some fans out there that have already figured out what happened, but I know there are some fans out there that are questioning, hey, did we not get the kickoff at the beginning of either half? If you're wondering, we did not.
Nope.
We did not get the kickoff at the beginning of either half, and that is an odd thing. So let's talk about that for a second. Those of you that know the game of football are about to get really bored for a second. But I have to explain this for folks who don't know. By the way, Jordan says they're pushing for waiters again to go through the suites. So those of you that are in suites might have noticed no servers going around this time, but they're pushing to try to get that back. So in football, the coin is tossed, and you have called the coin toss, and one team wins. When you win the coin toss, what you win is the opportunity to get a choice. You following me here, RC?
Yeah.
Okay. Your choice, you technically have a choice of like 5 things. You can choose to kick. You can choose to receive. You can choose to defend one end of the field or the other. Or you can choose to defer your choice to the second half. So there are 5 different things you could say when you choose at a coin toss. Now let's talk about some of this. Nobody is ever going to use their coin toss choice to decide what end of the field they want to protect, especially not in indoor football.
When it's indoor, no.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, if you were outdoors in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field in the middle of winter playoff game and the wind is coming in real strong off that one end of Heinz Field like it does, maybe at that point you do. But nobody's ever going to pick that with their choice. So now you're down to 3 choices. You can kick, you can receive, or you can defer. What you have won with the coin toss is the right to pick in the first half. The other team gets the right to make the same choice of those 5 options or 4 options, because they can't defer. There's not another half. Those 4 options themselves in the second half. So if you defer, you are saying, I am passing the option over to you for the first half. I will then make take my option in the second half. It's like Price is Right. You remember the end of Price is Right where the Showcase Showdown goes down and they show them all the wonderful prizes and like, do you want to bid on that or do you want to pass and see what's in the other showcase? That's what they're doing. You're deferring. So your options are kick, receive, or defer. You never choose kick in the first half. You never choose kick
No.
on the coin toss, because if you choose kick, you have used your choice, and they still get a choice in the second half, and you're giving up the ball. And they are going to choose to get the ball in the second half. So you lose the ball in both of those. So really your options are two. It is to receive or to defer. Every
Big mental error.
Every once in a while, players get up there and they get amped up and they don't really think about it. And they say, we want to kick because we want our defense to be on the field first. This is what happened during the game. And I am a bit frustrated with our official. And we're going to talk about officiating in a minute. I know a lot of you are a little upset with our official, but I'm a little upset with the referee at this point, because I have been to high school games. I've been to peewee games. I've been to indoor football games. I've watched the NFL and I've watched college football games. And almost to a letter, every time I have heard a player get amped up and decide they want to choose to kick, the official has stopped and said, are you sure that's what you mean? And given them an opportunity to correct it. In fact, this happened to Dak Prescott his second or third year in the league. He was very amped up, went out and said, we want to kick. And the official stopped and said, you want to kick the ball? And that's the moment when Dak went, half a second later, he goes, oh, no. We want to defer our option. So what happened here is the Gunslingers won the toss, said they wanted to kick, and the official did not verify that that was exactly what they meant. And so we now look, he's not required to, by rule or by anything. The referee is not required to give us a do-over when we say the wrong thing. But I've never seen it happen where they didn't. Never in any level of football have I seen a referee not give a clarification of, are you sure that's what you mean? In this case, he didn't, and he's not required to, so we can't get mad at him and be like, oh, he cheated us. He didn't cheat us. He took our word. He took what we said and said, okay, that's what you want. But it hurt us. It hurt us bad. This game is so much about possessions, and giving up one guaranteed possession of the game, especially going into the second half when we really needed it, hurt us. Now, how bad did it hurt us? Well, Leo, it didn't hurt us as bad as some people want to make it out to be, because we had a stop there at the beginning of the second half. We effectively erased that decision because our defense was able to go out and get a stop and mitigate that mistake that we made on the coin toss, right?
True, but it's a combination of things. You can't single any one thing out. But
No.
if the Gunslingers get the ball to start the second half and go out and score, and are able to keep pace at that point, it could have changed momentum and things might have changed in that sense. It was a grave error that should never happen, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen again with this.
It will not happen again.
I guarantee you that.
Yes.
It will not happen again. So that's the coin toss. Now let's talk about football on the field.
Well,
Leo?
hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
On your point with the referee not allowing or not reiterating to our team, our captains who made that call, and saying, are you sure this is the option that you want? Could it be? Maybe. I know we're supposed to have a separate officiating crew this season than we had in the past season because of things that happened in the last season. I can say definitively that it's not a completely new crew. There was at least one familiar face out there.
At least one. I thought maybe two.
Yeah, I want to
Was
say
it
you're
Gary?
probably right.
Did Gary
No.
come back?
No, it wasn't Gary.
I
No.
like Gary. I
But
miss
there at
Gary.
least one, the back judge that's in the end zone, where we're in that end zone. We saw him all season last season, and I know he's a carryover because we saw him there. And yeah, the back judge. Yep, it's that Jay's mentioned. He seconds that. It was the same one. And I know that San Antonio fans, and rightfully so, and the organization themselves, the Gunslingers, were highly critical of those referees
Yep.
last season and were very vocal about it in the offseason. So promises were made, things were said, adjustments were to be made, a whole new crew. It's not a whole new crew. And I don't know where these guys are from, but they're probably local, and it's a small community, and those guys talk to each other. They know each other very well. They see each other on a regular basis. They work together. So I don't know if it's maybe we don't get the benefit of something like that, or we don't get little extra, friendly treatment because we haven't been very friendly with them. And I'm not saying that we should be, because there's been reasons for the fans to be frustrated, reasons for the Gunslingers to be frustrated. But maybe I'm going to speak as a fan. Maybe some of us that are right there on the wall need to just reel ourselves in a little bit when we're openly and loudly criticizing these guys, because they're human beings and they remember that. And it might affect something like that where they have to or don't have to. And they're like, I don't have to do this, or I could if I wanted to. And they might remember something that was said to them by a fan, and your comment ends up hurting the team when it comes to a decision like that.
I mean,
that's all I'm going to say, because
Isn't
I've
that
heard
part of
some
the game?
pretty awful stuff from fans in that end zone said to the referees repeatedly. I've heard some pretty awful stuff, I'm just going to say, right from that section. And I said, maybe we just need to reel it in just a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, look, they're human, and so they may take some of that into account. I also know and believe that the standards are high enough for officials that that should not be an effect. And so let's roll right into official talk, because I think that's something that a lot of people were frustrated with. I know earlier in the show, Texas Pete came on and said the only thing lame about the game was the refs. I'm going to say something that's going to upset those of you that hated the refs. They screwed us. I don't think they did. I think the officiating, especially on pass interference calls, the threshold was much higher for them to call pass interference calls than I feel like it should be. And there were more opportunities for pass interference calls that were on the line against Tulsa than there was us. In other words, we were playing more inside the rules than they were, and they called all of them. The only one that you can point to and say this was a really ticky-tacky pass interference call was the very first one. The one that was in the end zone, Tulsa in the end zone, and we got a flag for it. There was a hand on the guy's hip. I bring it up during the broadcast. He had a hand on the hip, and he did kind of rotate him, pull him, and that is something that officials are always looking for. But based on everything that happened later in the game, I go back and I look at that call and I go, well, that's not all that different than some of these other things that you have let go. So why didn't you let that one go? But that's the only
They're not
one.
consistent.
I disagree. I disagree, RC. I think overall they were consistent. They were consistent.
Well, we were closer to some of those plays than you were. And
from
we
game
had a
to
different
game.
angle.
From
Right,
game to
Leo?
game. Yeah, from game to game, it seems like they're inconsistent. Now, this is the first game of the season, and obviously defensive pass interference, like it had to mug a guy to get a call. on pass interference, defensive pass interference, except for the 2 times that they called it. I mean, I think they were blatantly obvious, but some of the others that they didn't call were worse than the infractions when they threw the flag. But at least they did it for both teams. I would say that I would agree with that. It was consistent for both teams, the non-calls. But being in the end zone and seeing some of the plays that we saw, like RC is saying, pretty frustrating.
There was
It
one.
was frustrating.
Look, Gunslingers fans, you may not want, you may not like that I'm giving the refs some sort of a pass here, but there was one that we blatantly interfered with a receiver on a pass going down the sideline, down the near sideline to the broadcast. I mean, we tackled the guy. We absolutely took away his opportunity to catch a ball, and there was no flag on it. So I feel like they were consistent. I just don't feel like the threshold for what was pass interference is where we all feel like it should be. I feel like it was higher than that, except that one play right at the beginning of the game where it felt like they set the standard at that moment that they were going to be calling it very tight. And then the rest of the game, they didn't. Now, we each got a pass interference call in the end zone. They got one there in the first quarter. We got one in the second half. That balances out. Texas Pete disagrees with me. He says, nope, it was consistently against the Gunslingers. Here's what I'm saying, Pete. I'm not saying that it did not tilt toward the Oilers or away from the Gunslingers. I'm saying it wasn't on purpose. There was a consistent line drawn, and they more often than not committed plays below that line that we all felt like was pass interference. We did at least one time too. In any case, you can't let officials be the ones that decide the game. You just have to play with it.
No.
Alex McSwain's right. He says some might say the officials were letting them play, but I would have called it pass interference, but I'm not a ref. Mass Bandit of San Antonio, refs were terrible. I disagree. But the offense couldn't get anything going. That I do agree with. And I thought the defense did a really good job. That I agree with. Hopefully this will light a fire and they'll get better. And then
we missed a lot of those extra points too.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about kicking here in a minute.
Yeah.
And then Tina Hadid, they missed the hugs that DJ got. DJ was not able to get very involved in this game. He only had a couple of targets that I know of, and that's a bummer. We know what kind of player he is and the expectations he has, and Gunslingers fans have for him, and it was a bummer to not see him able to meet those expectations, and some of that was simply not being able to get off the ball because there is a guy wrapped around you. Those things do happen.
Mm-hmm.
So Alex McSwain did appreciate the refs for stopping the game and cleaning up the ball when bodily fluids were accidentally projected onto the ball. I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Did not see this, whatever you're talking about right now.
Yeah, they had to stop play because they had to clean the ball. No one wanted to touch it. Someone threw up on the ball.
Missed that. Totally missed it.
How did you miss that?
I'm
way up
100. Yeah, I'm 100 yards away from
going on up there.
James Palmer says almost feels like not having 5 on it hurt a little bit. So
Absolutely.
We had 2 inactive guys that were on the IR for this game. Now I need to let you know that the IR is not like a traditional IR in the NFL. There is not a limit, or there is not a minimum that they have to spend on IR before they can be reactivated. Both of these players can be reactivated next week, is my understanding. But Kali Rashad and Naquan Murray, 2 of our very top performers, were injured or were on injured reserve for this game. And so we didn't get to see number 5. We didn't get to see number 8 out there making plays. And that didn't help. However, we did get to see number 3. And I am very excited about Glenn Gibbons going into the rest of this season. He looked really good to me. Really,
he was
good.
the best. He was the best gunslinger on the field this game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll say one thing about the comment about Kali Rashad though.
Yeah, you were talking about this earlier before we went on the air.
Yeah.
You should bring this up because I think you're right.
Yeah. So, and it was something that Loli noticed about the game. You know, just the players were a little less engaging with the fans and not getting the fans as hyped up as what we're used to in a Gunslingers experience. And I said, well, you know, they're out there having a tough time. They're trying to figure out how to turn things around. And so they're not necessarily worried about engaging the fans or pumping up the fans. You know, they do that when they make a big play, you know, and they'll turn to celebrate with the fans, but there weren't a whole lot of big plays being made. But see, that's the thing with number 5. And that's the thing that I think this team really needs to work on next week, or as long as Kylie's going to be out. This team needs a spark plug. This team needs someone that whether you're up or down, he's going to bring energy. He's going to make that electrifying play. He's even if it's just to gain 2 or 3 yards. We've seen Kylie Rashad make a play that gained 2 yards. You know, nothing to get excited about yardage wise, but the manner in which he went about getting those 2 yards just pumps everybody up that's watching.
Or he would make a really electric play and it would get called back on a penalty. But while you lose the yardage and you use the play, the energy that provides and that kind of kicks everybody into helps. It helps in the building. It helps your team. Even if it gets called back, it's a thing, you know?
Yes.
Right. You appreciate that effort, that passion that you see on the field. I believe that element was missing.
That's what was missing. 100%. There wasn't a guy who stepped up that said, I'm going to be the spark plug. I'm going to give energy no matter what the situation is, what the scoreboard is. I'm going to get pumped up. I'm going to get this crowd pumped up because guess what? The crowd feeds off that energy and then they start getting loud and rowdier and then they feed that energy back onto the field and then they bring the players up and it's like a cycle.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, it's a cycle. The players feed off the fans feed off the players, and there wasn't a guy that in any point in this game that I really felt kind of took that role and stepped up and said, I'm gonna be the spark plug. I'm gonna fire this building up. The Freeman Coliseum is you know, I'm gonna light this place on fire. Kylie Rashad does that on a regular basis. Just in the way he plays, and that was really, really missed.
I agree.
Yes.
And let's stay on the offense. Since that's
100%.
kind of where we've gravitated toward. So let's stay with the offense. Mass Bandit of San Antonio a little earlier in the show said, I'm still upset with the offense. Fair. The new quarterback, that would be Malik Henry, would over or underthrow the ball, too many interceptions. Respectfully, they should have put in Guy Myers. He led in rushing and passing yards in a different league before he came here. I understand your frustration. I agree that Malik Henry did not have his best game or did not have the game that I expected him to have. I will tell you that I'm not going to say you're wrong and they should have pulled Henry and put in Myers. And I realize there are going to be other people on our show right now listening live that feel exactly the same way as you do. I will, however, say that it is not unusual for a head coach or a coaching staff in the first game of the season to go with the guy that got you there, especially in a close game. They expect that this guy gives them the best opportunity to win, and they're not going to change their mind on that very quickly. And I will go a step further and say coaches that do change their mind on their starting quarterback in the first game of the season make me nervous as a fan. Because you went through the whole offseason, you decided this is what gave you the best opportunity to win. You saw something you didn't like, immediately changed your mind. That makes me nervous. So while I understand that people are always a fan, there's an old adage in football that the most popular guy in the stadium is the backup quarterback because there's a group of people that want to see what that guy does. They want Cooper Rush instead of Dak Prescott. They want to see what the backup does when things aren't going well. I just don't believe that Tom Menas, being the football guy he is going to make that decision that way. Texas Pete says Henry way underperformed. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
Yep.
I think Tom Manas would tell you that. I think Malik Henry would tell you that. I don't think anybody disagrees with you, Pete. I think he did, and I think he would say that. I will say, and we just heard from Coach before we went online, we do need to give Malik a little time. He's only been with the team when they kicked off for 4 days.
I know, not even a week.
Not even a week. He's been there 4
Let's
days.
give him some grace.
And so maybe at that point you feel like, well, then he should have went with a guy that was more in tune with everybody else and had been with them all the way through camp. Hey, you can have that opinion. Coach did not have that opinion. And that's just how it was. Malik had some rough plays. He did have some overthrows. He did have some I didn't see too many underthrowing kind of moments. He did have a couple of overthrows. He had 2 really bad interceptions.
I saw at least a couple of plays where he had guys sitting on their route and that were wide open, and he went with another guy that was covered, like just making not the right decision. Scratch your head, but I mean, like you said, there's no familiarity with these receivers yet. He simply hasn't had enough time.
And he's not going to build that if he gets pulled in the third quarter and you know, you're going to shake his confidence. You're going to you're not giving him the time he needs with those receivers. I mean, there is just as it is just as possible that in the fourth quarter everything clicks and he leads us to a comeback win. We can say now, well, that didn't happen, but that's hindsight. In the moment, I fully understand why Tom Manas goes, no, that's my guy. That's what I said going in, and that's who I'm going to stay with. I get it. Malik did not have a great game.
No.
James Palmer says, just a hunch. Game 2 will look a little different, a lot different. I agree. I absolutely agree.
Learn.
And there were times that Malik would look. Malik's first touchdown, I want you to go back and watch that first touchdown. Go back and watch Malik's very first pass. His first pass as a gunslinger is a touchdown to Glenn Gibbons, and it is in one of the tightest windows you're ever going to see in any version of the game. And it was right where it needed to be, and Gibbons draws it in for the touchdown. He showed some signs of also being a really good quarterback. So let's not get lost with that. The offense underperformed. It absolutely did. There is no reason in the indoor game you should only score 20 points in a game. 20, that should never happen. That should never ever happen. And they know that.
I think with Malik Henry having come in so recently, you understand and you should know that the offense is going to be a work in progress. With Khalil Rashad out, with Nyquan Murray out on the both getting healthy, those guys are 2 of your best receivers, best guys on the team. You expect the offense to be a work in progress. Thankfully, it looks like the Gunslingers have the defense that they can hold it down, because I was very impressed with a lot of what we saw. But when you know your offense is going to struggle like that, you can't have the mental errors, starting with the coin flip.
Coin toss, yeah.
And then, there was a couple of mental errors on defense too, where, the confusion in coverage that resulted in a wide open, touchdown. A couple of mishaps. The kicking game was an absolute non-factor, which was a disappointment.
We're not to any of that yet. We're not talking.
Yeah, we're not getting there yet. Right. I'm just saying, all those things considered, like that's a tough ask to win the game.
I don't have.
You're relying on defense a lot.
I don't have numbers to back this up. I don't have the stats or the numbers to back this up, but I will say that a lot of the success we're going to have on offense this year is going to be connected to number 10, Keyshawn Harper. And he played a great game. He had a great game coming out of the backfield on passes. He had one wheel route that it didn't end up being a touchdown. Man, I wish he could have gotten it in the end zone. but they
Yeah.
absolutely left him alone. Didn't even look his way. And he cuts this wheel route, and Malik, for everybody that's talking about him right now, Malik immediately recognizes and gets the ball over to him on this wheel route where nobody is even looking at him. And he gets all the way down to the 4 or 5 yard line. Our problem was not being able to finish drives. And I think coach would tell you that. I think the offense would tell you that. We got so close, and then we couldn't finish drives a couple of times, and that would have made all the difference in the world. What do you got, Leo? You're chuckling.
I'm laughing at Jason Wood's comment about my mug. He said it's not big. I need to get a bigger mug.
You do. Show everybody what he's talking about in case they've missed it. Show everybody your cup.
How can you miss it?
That's about as big as my head.
Oh, Harper had himself a game. I'm excited for year 2. I am too. By the way, I felt like the line. Coach often says that we don't give enough kudos to the big guys. I thought the offensive line did as well in a first game as an offensive line can do. Were they perfect? No. Are they ever going to be perfect? No. But they did a really good job. Malik had time more often than not to do what he needed to do with the ball. The couple of times that he did not have time, those were not the interceptions. If you go back and watch, the interceptions were not, somebody's coming at me, I got to get rid of the ball. They were, I hate to say this, I think very highly of Malik Henry. They were tunnel vision. They were getting locked in on a receiver and not realizing that there's a defender between you and the receiver. Both looked that way to me. Both of them looked like Malik just kind of locking in and getting tunnel vision, and he'll fix that. He's been around this game a long time. He knows what that means. He knows what that looks like, and he'll fix that. Jason Woods is a great question. He asked if the Kobe Tucker at 77 is okay. He got up dazed after a tackle. We need to check on that. So, and James Palmer, the way Malik led Keyshawn Harper, number 10, on a few of those passes was perfect. He was. It was.
There were signs.
New offense, but there's potential here for this offense to become a really dangerous offense. And led by Malik Henry, or maybe by Guy Myers or by Jorge Reyna, who is still an opportunity, an option as far as I know.
He's on IR as well, if I'm correct. So
I like the potential. I like the potential that we saw.
I just want to throw this little curveball in there, Phillip. Having said everything that we've said, and you kind of said something just now that made me kind of click on this. I thought about it earlier, but wouldn't it be great for the league, for these teams, and for these players? What do you think? To have one, maybe 2 preseason games where they could work out some of these kinks, because this is an offensively this game, the indoor game, is geared toward offenses, and that offenses always come on a little bit slower than defenses, so you want to work out those kinks to get your best on the field. It gives new fans an opportunity to maybe come to a game for an insanely low price, or you can offer some package deals just for the preseason. If it's 2 games, maybe a package for both games. And you have people come out and check out what this is all about, and you give teams some time to work out some kinks, especially having such a short, camp, short off season. I wonder if that would be overall. I know there's a lot of, logistically, it would be a huge challenge, but I think it would be very beneficial to all parties.
I don't think you're wrong.
I like the idea, Leo.
I think in a vacuum, you're right. But preseason games is kind of the way we can get into the season at a higher speed, playing speed. I will tell you, and James Palmer already kind of said it for me, I don't think it's cost effective. I don't think that there's a way that you can ask these teams who are operating on such thin margins of winning and losing money, gaining and losing money, to put money into that kind of luxury. That is a luxury. Having preseason games is a luxury. and it's just a luxury that I cannot imagine this league affording.
It's not cost effective at all. I realize that.
No.
It might help the bottom line long term though in getting more butts in the seats if you're able to do something to lower ticket costs or throw in these big package deals like I said or deals. But yeah, it's a tall ask financially. I understand.
Future goal.
Maybe so. So the offense, 20 points is not what I ever expect from my team. It's not what Tom Manas ever expects from his team.
Yeah.
The offense did not look good, but
There's a but.
The defense looked incredible.
I'll stop short of incredible. Very, very good.
I thought Alex McSwain earlier in the show said I enjoyed Jones and Jones partners at law on defense.
Yes,
Uric Jones and the other Jones. It's a J. I'm gonna get there. I want to say Jeremy, but I know that's not right. Somebody will correct me in a minute. Jordan Jones.
Jordan Jones, yeah.
Jordan Jones and Uric Jones
they were fantastic.
Amazing additions into some of the pieces that we already had. With Clifton Duck in the backfield, Austin Collier along the line, adding in Jones and Jones has been just look. I give him a hard time. He thinks I don't like him, but Tom Manas hit the nail right on the head, bringing these two guys in. Both of these guys, not just one of them. He got both of these guys, and they are both big, huge additions to the defense. They are incredible. They made an immediate impact on the game. And while I said earlier, we don't know anything about this team, so does that mean our defense is good or their offense is bad? Look, I know who that quarterback is. All right? That guy that played for Frisco, he's really, really, really good. How good? Or that guy that played for Tulsa is really, really, really good because he's been doing it for 3 seasons in Frisco and been absolutely running up and down the field in this league. He is a really good quarterback, and we shut him down. There is no reason that he should only have 28 points in any game ever when he plays. That's not what happens when that guy takes the field, and our defense limited him to that. So the defense looked really, really good. Now, you say they weren't incredible.
Yeah, cut out the mental mistakes, and I'll give them incredible. But there were a couple of mental mistakes, so you got to leave room for improvement. Like when you get your review and stuff, you're not supposed to give a perfect review because you're employee to have something to look at and to grow on. Yeah, you don't want to give them the top score when you got to leave them room for improvement.
I'm with James Palmer here. I'll take one blown coverage over how many did we have last year. Like I'll take the one. I'm cool with the one.
We had one a quarter last year in some games.
Oh, sometimes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. James Palmer, not many quarterbacks escape and score a touchdown like that one does. Look, that touchdown where he was dead to rights in the backfield bothers me on some level. For all of the praise worthily, I will hand to Jordan Jones. He tried to pop him instead of wrapping him up. And if he wraps him up, he doesn't score that touchdown. And I'm not sure they score on that drive because I think that was a 3rd down. So Jordan Jones had a great game, not on that particular play because he tried to pop him and run him over instead of just wrapping him up and bringing him down. And boy, I wish he had. You talk about something that could have changed the whole game. But overall, Jordan Jones, Uric Jones, Clifton Duck, all those guys on defense. Christoph Page had an incredible game on defense. Our defense as a whole is way, way better than it was last year. I will take it. Leo doesn't like it, apparently. Leo's not happy.
I didn't say that.
He didn't say that. He said they were very good. There's room
I
for
was-
improvement.
Leo
That's all
thinks
he
the
said.
defense is trash.
I said very,
He did not
very
say that.
good.
Ah, where's my yellow flag?
Just short of
Where's my yellow
incredible.
flag?
That's not saying that they're trash. Absolutely. I did not say that.
But
I wonder if we could call the Jones like Jones squared. Because there's two of them.
well, there's 2 Jones and there's 3 Myers. We've got DJ and Guy Myers, and then we have another Myers that's Meyers. That's spelled
We
differently.
call it the trifecta and the
Not
Jones
related,
squared.
but yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Alex McSwain, a couple of communication errors on defense, but hopefully they come together. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I expect them to gel together and get even better, and that means they're going to be a really dangerous defense all the way through the year. I'm happy with that. What have you always heard about football, Leo? What wins championships?
Defense.
Defense wins championships. And in this league, Ralph, if he's on, he may tell me what the numbers are. But we have a very small sample size right now. I think I can remember this. We have a very small sample size right now, but through the past 3 years, 3 seasons or so, the average score per team, per game, was like 43 points. With 3 games played in the IFL this season so far, that number has dropped considerably. I want to say it's down to something like 34 or 35. That is a considerable drop. Now, again, small sample size, but with the defensive rule changes, I think we're going to see more defensive football, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Football defense is fun on football. Football defense is being good is okay with me. I am not somebody that needs 76 to 74 game. Those are fun, but I can also enjoy a 28 to 20 game, at least if my team wins. I can enjoy a 28 to 20 game.
Thing. With.
It's hit to Jones Square. Some
Clever.
Huey Lewis in the news, sort of. I think that's who that is. James Palmer said the Sharks scored the highest. Yeah, I will say this about the Sharks and the Pirates. I watched that game. I watched all the games on my IFL network this year or this season, this week. I keep saying you can't tell anything from this first game. Are the Sharks good or are the Pirates bad? Oh, I can tell you there. The Pirates are bad. Are bad. Now, that doesn't mean the Sharks aren't also good, but I can tell you, I've seen enough of this game that the Pirates are bad. They may get better, but right now, they're bad. I can tell you that. Jay Washington, remember when Ralph said we were going undefeated? Yeah, just last week here on the show.
Who said that?
He said we were going to go undefeated, and we didn't do that.
He's already out. If there was a preseason pool, he's already out of it.
Yeah, if you're in a survivor pool and you pick the Gunslingers, you're done. You're finished. So that's offense. That's defense. You got anything else on defense? I really, really was happy with the defense. They stepped up and did what they needed to do to keep the game where it needed to be. The offense just did not match them. And that's okay. The offense will catch up. I'm not worried about that.
I mean, we had a couple of goal line stands, didn't we? It was first and goal, and we were able to stop them. Yeah, of course, our offense returned the favor with the exact same situation where we had a couple of goal-to-goal situations and couldn't get it in.
Yeah,
very unfortunate. But the offense will come along. The offense will come along. The defense is something to get excited about. Room for improvement, but still be very excited about.
No, I'm very excited. I think Jordan Jones is a big addition, and Uric Jones both. Big additions.
What was that quarterback a couple seasons ago that he did a stretch where it looked like he was doing like a Superman kind of stretch? You remember who was that?
I didn't see the Superman stretch,
This was a couple of seasons ago.
Oh.
There was a quarterback and he like dove with the ball to try to get more yardage. Somebody has to remember.
Nope, no idea. Somebody else might remember. Somebody else might jump on here and remember that for us. So there's your offense. There's your defense. Let's talk a little bit about special teams. James Palmer says
Hey.
that you're talking about Castronova last season. Maybe it was.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Hey, Jordan Jones was great on special teams. He might have had the play of the game.
Speak on that.
Well, wasn't he the guy that caught the kick that went straight, the bullet right at him?
Oh, yeah. No,
And
absolutely.
he had the
Absolutely.
reaction and the athleticism to just grab that and go down. And then we had, first and whatever it was deep on their side. And then we ended up, one play possession, and we got a touchdown. Yeah, that's a line drive kick right at him.
Yeah, and if you're like, oh, that's not very impressive, I challenge you to do the same. I challenge you to line up 10 yards away from a guy kicking the ball as hard as he can kick it and catch it, and you'll know it's coming. I'll give you the benefit to know it's coming, and I bet you don't do as good a job at that as Jordan Jones did. He did a great job. He did excellent. And kick coverage. James Palmer mentions kickoff coverage was also good. It was.
It was very good.
Blake checking in says, why did we kick off at the beginning of the game and kick off at halftime? We covered this a little earlier in the show. We jacked up on the coin toss. We said at the coin toss, we won the coin toss and said we wanted to kick. We used our choice, our option to kick in the first half, leaving Tulsa their ability to take their option in the second half, where they said they wanted to receive, which is what you do. And that's why that's why that happened.
You're supposed to say defer. You defer your option to the second half. And instead of saying defer, we said we'll kick. And the referee obviously didn't give us a chance to change that or an explanation.
Yeah.
So.
Alex McSwain says you missed it. You need to catch Philip's explanation on the replay. When we finish the show, right near the beginning of, right about the middle of the show, we talk about what happened on the coin toss there and what happened with that. But
I think Blake is a new person on the show, and welcome, Blake. Thank you.
Good to
see you.
Thank
you for joining. Yeah, we didn't want his first experience to ask us a question, and they were like, go back and watch it at the beginning, Blake.
No, that's what happened with it. So let's talk. We talk a little bit about special teams overall, fairly good. Let's talk a little bit about Ofoya, the new kicker. I know that some folks have said, well, that didn't work. We don't know that yet. This is a guy who's been playing rugby over in Australia all of his life. Kicking the ball off the tee is a new thing for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he did fairly well on kickoffs. I realized he got outside of the wall a couple of times. It happens. It's not the end of the world. I realized that he didn't kick it downfield and give you the opportunity for the deuce a whole bunch. And people want to see the deuce opportunity. I thought we went for the deuce a little too much last year, so I'm okay with that side of things. And then on the drop kick, Leo, you and I were talking about this earlier today. The drop kick, the first one he attempted was a really good kick. It was just offline. It was a good kick.
It was close.
It was what it needed to be. It just wasn't right where it needed to be, and so I'm happy with that. The second one was very rough. It went off a Gunslingers player. James Palmer says, I've seen him kick it in practice. He was hitting it, but I guess things look different when you've got people coming at you. I think that's absolutely the case. And we heard from Coach. I'm trying to find it right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'll Phil while you're doing that.
Go ahead.
They call him the Jackal. And, I've heard from just now James Palmer and others saying that, he looked fantastic in camp.
Yes.
So much so that the Gunslingers, as we've talked with them, they were never looking around for someone else after Afola came along. And it's a work in progress. It was his first experience in this sort of game. So we'll give him a little bit more time, because the potential. Imagine if he gets this down and he's regularly nailing those drop kicks, the potential of having a weapon like that that's going to hit those drop kicks consistently like he can, and he's demonstrated that he can in camp, and do that consistently after every score, and we're getting 2 points for the drop kicks. And then if he, you see that he has some power, maybe gets a deuce, you're talking 4 points.
Right.
On top of the 6.
Right.
That is huge. So, I'm not willing to call anybody out or disappointed. Yeah, of course we're disappointed.
Sure.
But I'm not willing to give up on the guy after one game. I think there's a lot of potential there, and we'll see how he processes that first experience, learns from it, grows from it, and see how he does in this next game.
Coach Sabadas says, go easy on our kicker. He was a bit nervous for this first ever football game. We will improve on special teams, but coverage on kickoffs was excellent. And I want to remind, a few of you have already said this, but part of the coverage on kickoffs was Afoya. He made a tackle on a kickoff, and it was a good, solid, hard tackle. It's his first ever football game, and on a whole, did he look absolutely spectacular? No. But do I think that there is enough there that we may see some improvement, and if he starts getting things lined up just right, we could really see something amazing from Afoya. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. I have heard some people say they are. I heard some folks on Saturday night saying we got to get a new kicker. I don't think it's time for that yet. I'm not saying that we won't need a new kicker. I'm just saying I don't see how this game lets you make that determination. I did not see enough to say, wow, this guy can't do it.
On a side note, I did talk to his mother, and we are working on a mom-to-mom interview with his mom being in Australia.
Yeah.
From all the way across the world, time zones away.
And Ralph said, oh, you're not going to be able to do it. Did it. I already talked to her.
Jay Washington, I still support Afoya. He'll get better through the season. I agree. We even got good coverage, just couldn't stop them on that last drive, had them pinned deep. Yeah, that was rough. I mean, the end of the game was really rough. I feel like we took too much time on our final, what was ultimately our final possession. I would like to have seen us get down and score quicker to give more time on the clock and give us more options, but it is what it is. I don't expect that we will only score 20 points in a lot of games. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I agree.
What else? Football on the field. Talked about officials.
I felt like we were in the wrong gear. Like we need to zoom up a little bit, pump it up.
Yeah, it'll get there. I think that's the main thing on offense, like we talked about, the offensive struggles. Once we get back to full health and we get some key players back and some familiarity with Henry, I think we're going to see quite a contrast, quite a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, it's not the result we wanted. I know everybody always says that when they lose a football game, like it's not the result we wanted, but there's still some things to build on. But the reason people say it all the time is
it's true,
because there's truth to that. Like I've taken to saying, you know what happens when you assume. About 80% of the time you're right. The reason you make assumptions is because you're using your experience and tradition and reason, and you're using all of these things to make an assumption. Well, often when you make an assumption, you're right. Not always, and you shouldn't bank on your assumptions, and you should be very careful about that. But there's no reason that we can't assume that things are going to get better as we move forward. Our return game looked good, Alex McSwain says. A few big returns. Yeah. I was very happy.
Right?
Harper had one of them. Maybe it was Gibbons back there with him. I can't remember who the second returner was that did most of the returning. But I know Harper had one really good one. And remember, eventually Kali is back, and he will probably be one of your two back there for the return. So overall, I don't like taking a loss. I don't like starting this season with a loss. I don't like a home loss. But there's some things to be okay with. Our loss was to an out of division, out of conference opponent.
Yeah.
Last year, our first game of the year was a loss to an in conference opponent that we only played one time. It ended up having playoff implications. That one loss at the beginning of the season ended up having playoff implications by the time we got down to the last few weeks of the season. That won't happen here. This does not have any implications as far as playoffs are concerned, other than the fact that we have a loss, other than the record. But it will not come back to bite us as far as that is concerned, as far as playoff seeding or playoff position is concerned. So that's a positive.
That's a positive.
Alex McSwain says, saw some Tulsa fans made it into town. I did see a good representation coming in from Tulsa. We should make sure we reciprocate as we go to Tulsa twice.
Yeah. I know the Bombers are planning on making that trip. On that, I was going to say in the San Antonio Gunslingers fan page, I saw a comment from a Tulsa fan saying they were making the trip down here, that they came down here last year and had a great time at the Gunslingers game and were impressed with how Gunslingers fans treated them while they were here. And that was really, really, I was really proud to read that when they said that. And I just hope that they left this game feeling the same way. So
Chase Risman, who covers things for man, I've forgotten again. He covers the Gunslingers, and he does that for a publication that is online that I will remember in a second. But he's asked a couple of times about Coach Tom Manas having a confrontation with an Oilers player, and he's asked if we're going to talk about that. I don't plan on talking about it, Chase, simply because I didn't see it. I don't know anything about it. That might be a great question to log on Wednesday night and connect with Coach during Branded and see if he will give you some insight into what happened there. I don't know what to tell you about it, and that's why I haven't really talked about it. But speaking of confrontations just off the side of the field, there is one I kind of want to talk about. And I want to talk about this in connection with the two challenges we saw in the game. We saw a challenge from both coaches. We saw a challenge from Tulsa, and we saw a challenge before that from head coach Tom Manas. We won the challenge that Tom Manas threw out there. That was the reception for a touchdown that wasn't really a reception because he never had possession of the ball. It was always kind of pinned against his shoulder. And Christoph Page, I believe, is the one that ripped that out and made sure that he wasn't able to score the touchdown with that particular play. I love the challenge. I said it during the broadcast. I love the challenge, whether you win or lose, because you were down basically 2 possessions. And if you go down 3 possessions there, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble.
That's true.
So if it's even on the line, I'm not sure he crossed the plane, whatever the case was, I love the use of the challenge there, right or wrong. And it turned out he was right. But even if he was 100%, like I don't see enough to even challenge, I would respect Coach Manas for dropping the challenge flag, even if there was very little to challenge there, because I think you have to take that opportunity there and keep them out of the end zone if you can. Great use of the challenge there.
Good strategy.
And then their challenge, the Tulsa Oilers challenged our touchdown. And there's a couple of things I want to talk about around this challenge. I don't blame them for using the challenge. It was right there on the goal line. You're not sure if he crossed, whatever. If you listen to the broadcast, you will hear me say, I'm sure it's a touchdown, not because I saw it, but I saw the official who saw it, and I saw how sure he was. That linesman, and he was really good all game about marking, and he was very emphatic. When he saw something, he was very, very emphatic about marking the ball or giving us a touchdown. And he ran in on that sucker with his eyes locked down on the goal line with a touchdown signal. I couldn't see it, but I could see him. And I knew based on his reaction, because I'd been watching him a lot during the game, that if he was that sure, it was a touchdown. And I was right on that. And then we go for 2 right after that, right after we win that challenge, or they lose that challenge. We went for 2, and it was one of my favorite plays I've ever seen the San Antonio Gunslingers run.
Really?
The receiver was in the motion, crosses the line as the ball is snapped, and it is immediately fired out, and he's diving over the line before anybody even realizes the ball's been snapped.
No time to react.
Yeah, it was great. I want us to run that play like 3 times a game from now on when we need a short yardage thing, or just to see what we can do with that kind of quick hit play. I loved it. I want to see it more. Coach Fuller, do that again. I want to see it a lot. That was a beautiful looking play. And I think it would work to your advantage a lot to use that more often. So here's the thing I wanted to talk about with the first challenge, our challenge. Does anybody know what Mr. Rackler said to the refs? So
I know what he said.
What did he say?
He said, "You're doing a fantastic job. I'm happy you're here in San Antonio.
Can we get you anything? Is there anything we can get you?
Can I get you something? Yeah.
I can get you a soda from the concession stand."
And then he said, "Guns up."
So and he said, "Guns up." That's it. That's so you may have noticed during our challenge. You can go back and watch this on the broadcast if you want. You may notice that through the entire challenge, as the referee and the headlinesman are looking down at the laptop, Don Rackler is standing there in his black shirt and black hat, just staring them down the whole time.
Love him.
About like 6 feet away. Right there.
And then, as the referee goes to make his way on the field, Don Rackler had words for him. And he was not going to let that referee by until he said his piece. So, here's where... Go ahead.
Is that like what Alex McSwain said? He asked him if he wanted to get a drink after the game.
Yeah. You want to go get a beer? You want to go get a beer after the game? So here's the time that I'm going to switch hats a couple of times. Let me put on my media person hat. Let me put on my broadcaster hat and say, you probably shouldn't do that. You probably should let the referees just handle the game. And if you have a problem with how they're officiating the game or a problem with something in game, you need to contact the league and send that through the league in the proper channels. That is probably the right thing to do. And I think Don knows that. I think he was frustrated. Oh, yeah. And so he said, hey, I'm an owner in this league and I deserve an answer. Probably not the right time for it. And I think he'd probably tell you the same thing now at this point. Now, let me take my my broadcaster or media person hat off and put my fan hat on and go, that was cool. Like, I love that our owner is willing to go to bat for our team and stand up and say, I don't think you're shooting straight with us. Pun intended. I don't think you're shooting straight with us, and you need to get your act together. I don't encourage it. I think there's probably a better way to do it. I have not heard this from anyone, but I'm sure the league probably reached out to Don Rackler or somebody in the organization and said, don't do that. I'm sure that happened. But as a fan, do I like the fact that my owner is that engaged in the game? He is not sitting up in a suite up over the stadium, smoking his cigar and counting his money. He is down and engaged and just as much living and dying with each one of these plays as I am as a fan. Do I appreciate that? Hell yeah, I do.
Heck
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's incredible. I love the passion that shows. Probably a better way to do it. But I love the passion that shows, and that I'm not being ridiculous as a fan for getting so bought in on this, because that guy is too. Totally
He's
okay.
invested, just like us.
Right. As a fan, I loved it. As a media person and a broadcaster, I would go, hey, there's probably a better time to do that. You shouldn't do that. That's probably not a great deal. But even in the broadcast, if you go back and listen to Ralph and I talk about it, both of us have a little bit of a giddiness in our voice, because we know it's not the right thing to do, but we're also like, meh, he feels like he's getting the short end of the stick, and he's going to let somebody know. And as a fan, I'm glad somebody is speaking for me, because I feel like we're getting hosed a little bit.
Yep.
I'm okay with it as a fan.
And I love how him and Pamela walk around and say hi to everybody.
They do. They walk around.
They do.
They shake hands. They say hi to everybody. They enjoy the experience, and they make the experience better for everyone else around them, and that's great. That's great stuff.
And James and Stephanie also.
Yes, absolutely.
We love them.
James Palmer said, maybe it's your going to the train station after the game. If you know what that means. I believe that's a Yellowstone reference. If I'm not, I've never watched Yellowstone, but I believe that's a Yellowstone reference right there. James Palmer also saying, he said your flight home is canceled. Again, I love the fact that guy is passionate about it too. It's not just me. I'm not being ridiculous. It's difficult sometimes to be up in the booth. And look, I'm not expecting anybody to weep for me. I get to do something that a bunch of people would love to do for these games, and be a part of things on the inside, and I get to call the games. But at times, it's hard to tamp down that fan side of me and be like, I can't say what I really want to say about this. In fact, you got to hear some of that because our audio leaked over into some commercials at times, and you heard the moments I did get to release my fan, and you heard moments right after a Tulsa Oilers touchdown where it's getting late in the game and we're now down more than we were before. And I look at Ralph and I go, I think we're cooked. That's my fan in me. I don't say that on the broadcast, but there is a side of me that is absolutely a fan. And it's a little tough sometimes to tamp that down. So to watch Don, who probably should do a little more tamping it down, get passionate about it. I appreciate it. There's part of me that really appreciates that.
Oh man, I totally misinterpreted that. I thought someone was making tamales up there for y'all, and you were saying, "Hey, I think they're ready. I think they're cooked."
They're cooked.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. You're right. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
You're correct. That's what happened.
Yeah.
No, we know. Ralph and I have both been over the broadcast multiple times. We know where we were deficient. We've seen areas we need to improve. We've already taken steps to make sure we improve the broadcast on our end some. And TSP has also taken some steps to improve things on his side some. And Jay Washington says, Phillip, new Rule 3, Article 5C. I believe what he's referring to is something he talked about all the way in the beginning of the show before we ever came on air. He had a comment, and I'm swinging back up to it. It is Rule 3, Article 5C. Positive yardage is defined as reaching the line of scrimmage or going beyond the play. This explains the play and the 1-minute warning in the fourth. So if you don't know, one of my favorite rules in all of football, I wish we were talking about this rule in the NFL. With 1 minute left in the game, if you are leading the game by 14, I believe it's 14 points or less, you have to earn positive yardage on the play. You have to at least advance the ball to the line of scrimmage or beyond. If you do not, if you are tackled for a loss, or you kneel down the ball and give yourself up for a loss, the clock stops, which means there are no more kneel downs. It means that defenses actually have the ability to control the clock without a timeout. All they have to do is get a tackle for a loss, which is not an easy thing to do, but it's there. It's an option. I love it. I think it's a rule. I may have mentioned this before on the show. When we were, have I mentioned this before? When we were gathered together for the Command Post podcast, we had to audition for that. And my audition was sitting down with John, and John said, give me your best football take. And my best football take was the positive yardage rule. I wanted to see it in all levels of football because I think it is a great rule. I hate the kneel down. I hate just bleeding time off the clock.
No victory formation.
Yeah, I do not like the victory formation. I'm not a fan.
Unless you're up by more than 14.
Right. If the game is out of hand, then at that point, you get the opportunity to run time off the clock. There's no reason to get people injured when it doesn't matter. And that's a possibility with something like that. But with the game being in a certain margin, I am completely okay. I love this rule. It might be my favorite rule change of the year, and I like them all. But this might be my favorite one. Big fan. Big fan. So, yes, Jay Washington, I knew Rule 3, Article 5C, because it is one of my favorite rules in all of football. James Palmer, I was excited to finally get his order from concessions. I think he's talking about me talking about it's cooked, or we're cooked. So that is the game in a nutshell, in a pretty large nutshell, because we talked for nearly 2 hours about it. We talked about the game around the game, that experience, which is a lot of fun. We talked about the game on the field, not the way we wanted things to end, but hey, you don't win them all. You don't win every one. No matter what Ralph Judkins tells you, you're not going to go undefeated this season. Ralph never said that, by the way. We were giving him a hard time. And if you didn't catch that earlier episode, you might think, who's this Ralph guy? He sure is conceited about the team. No, he's not. We're giving him a hard time. We've got a game coming up on Sunday night. Bay Area, we got to travel to San Jose. It's on Sunday night at 6 p.m. And
actually, I think it's 7 p.m.
Oh, you're right. It is.
Is there a watch party?
I'm sure there is. Be looking this week for information to come out from the San Antonio Gunslingers about the watch party that I'm sure they are diligently planning right now. If you're not going to the watch party, you need to make sure you sign up for the IFL network. It's a 30-day free trial. So if you're really, really just wanting to get through this month that we're away from the Freeman Coliseum, and then you're like, I don't want to pay for it past this, you sign up now, like right now. You use your 30-day free trial, and then you cancel right after the April 19th game at Tulsa, and boom, you got those 3 games. You got to watch them live or on demand. And there you go. If you're the kind of person that just cannot afford $30 for the season or $10 a month, and you're like, hey, I want to watch, I want to see, but I can't afford that. Look, there are people out there like that, and we don't want you to not be Gunslingers fans just because you can't afford to be part of the IFL network. Our buddy, I've talked about him several times, Ralph Judkins, who did not even want me to tell you he was the one doing it, because he's not doing it to impress anyone, is creating condensed versions of the game. He is, highlights of the game, if you want to call it. He just published the one, I believe, last night for this game. You can go right now and watch that. I think it's a 16-minute video. You can find it on the San Antonio Gunslingers YouTube page. And it just jumps from game to game. If you've ever watched condensed games or replays of games in any sport, it's exactly what he's doing. He's showing you kind of the most consequential moments of the game. Third downs, big plays, big penalties, things that you would need to know to just kind of grab the flow of the game. And it's there. It's available for you for free on YouTube, and that way you can keep up with the Gunslingers without having the IFL network. It will not be a full game experience. But if you're just not able to afford the IFL network, that's out there and available for you. What else do we need to cover about the Tulsa game or the Bay Area game coming up? We don't have a lot we can say about Bay Area. We have no idea what their team's going to look
We
like.
know nothing.
They
Their first game will be against us in week 2. Yeah.
Yeah, they have not had to release their roster, so we don't know who they have because they don't have to do it until, 48 hours before game day. They don't have to release their roster, which is what it is. It's part of the IFL rules, so we don't really have any idea what we're going to be looking at in Bay Area. We know what we need to do, and that's the most important part. We know what our team needs to improve on or keep going on, and that's the most important part for us. They can do whatever they're going to do. We need to be better on offense, keep the defense hopping, and score some more points on special teams. And Tom Manas is already working on all those things. He's already going to get us where we need to be on those things. So we can't really tell you a lot about Bay Area other than Sunday night, 7 o'clock, and be on the lookout for watch party information from the Gunslingers. Anything else we need to cover?
Well, I want to say thank you to my friend Lorena Garcia for giving me these really cute boot earrings for Christmas. I finally got to wear them. Warm to the game.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool. Jason Wood said we need a TV app for the IFL. You do. We do. I do not disagree in the slightest. I will, however, say that I was able to broadcast the replay of the game, the on-demand version of the game yesterday to my TV from my iPhone over AirPlay with absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Cool.
That's not always the case with AirPlay. Sometimes you use AirPlay and it gets really spotty and really rough. I did not have one single issue broadcasting it to my TV with AirPlay. So until they get that app ready, I can do it that way. But yes, you're right. We need a Roku app. We need a Fire Stick app. We need a smart TV app sooner rather than later for the IFL network. We got to get it out there.
I'll mention with the focus on the IFL network and everything that they're doing over there. I hope the league, at least this week, I don't know if you noticed, Philip, but I don't remember this happening last year at all. But I hope they don't. I hope this is just a 1-week thing and not the new trend. But I hope they don't neglect the website as far as stats for games, because like right now, normally last year I would like having stats up for the show so we could talk about those a little bit and look at things. And right now we can't even do that because there are no stats up for this past weekend. So
you are not the first person to have an issue with the fact that stats are not available. I have not heard anything from the league, but I would imagine as many times as I've heard it, they have also heard it, and they will be working to correct that in week 2. If they are not, they should be.
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks like to look at those numbers and determine what they think that means. And you've been able to do it. You've shown us you can do it in the past. So to take it away now is going to be problematic. People are going to get upset, and I don't blame them. So, make sure you take care of that, IFL. We need stats for games. We need that information done. Alex McSwain, if you want to go play-by-play, open the clip feature, and you can adjust the jump forward and jump back by bigger or smaller time skips. I think this ranges from 10 seconds to 60 seconds. Interesting. That's a little skip. I did enjoy using the IFL network on Friday night. We had 2 games on at the same time. I had my dual monitors and my computer desk, and I had the Quad City and Green Bay game, and then I had the Jacksonville game. It was just a Jacksonville game. It wasn't really a Jacksonville and Massachusetts game. It was just Jacksonville. I had that up on the other screen, watching 2 games at one time. Both of them looked excellent. Massachusetts has always had issues with their stream. It wasn't as clear. Speaking of, our video, the guys at TSP and the folks at TSP, our video was beautiful.
Mhm.
Our video was crystal clear, looked great. I was very, very stoked at how pretty our, just visually, the audio part, that guy that kept talking all the time, could take or leave that guy.
Oh yeah,
But
you might be doing some kind of podcast or something.
the video was absolutely incredible. I thought it looked beautiful. Well, with all that being said, you've been listening to the Smoking Guns Podcast. We're a podcast that deals with San Antonio professional football exclusively, the IFL's San Antonio Gunslingers. We are brought to you by some amazing, amazing folks that join us on patreon.com. Alfred Rodriguez, who you've been hearing from tonight as the mission highlighter. James Palmer, who you've seen tonight. Jay Washington, who you've seen tonight. Jordan Stubing, James Stubing, Kim and Greg Nelson, Mo and Iris Ferrante. They do a great job at supporting our show. You can be a part of that team by going to patreon.com/Smoking Guns Pod. Smoking no G, guns with a Z, P-O-D. You're right. I almost missed it, and I should not do that. James Palmer says the only issue was the audio. Mike's left on during commercials. Yep, we know, and we're working to fix it. Jay, you're right. I missed it, and I shouldn't have. We like to do in season our bullspit and bullseye of the week, the things that were just excellent about the week, and then the things that were maybe a miss. We call it our bullseye and bullspit. Go ahead and enter yours now. We're going to start with Leo. Leo, what were your bullseye and bullspit for the Tulsa game?
My bullseye was Gunslinger football being back. You know, it's great to have Gunslinger football, Freeman Coliseum, seeing the fans. Jay mentioned it earlier. It's great to see, you know, some of the OG fans returning back for this season. I ran into a lady in the line out of front where I was getting my pendant and talking to her, and she said this was her third year in a consecutive year being a season ticket holder, and we're seeing more and more people like that just getting to interact and meet each other and be part of it. That's definitely my bullseye for the week. And the bull spit, just having to take that loss for the first home game and then be away for 3 weeks in a row was a tough pill to swallow for multiple reasons, primarily the offense.
Yeah.
The offensive struggle. That's really my bull spit, was the offensive struggle. I understand why. I just hope they get it fixed quickly, which I think they will.
I agree. I agree with both of those points. RC, what about you? Bullseye, bullspit.
Bullseye, I'm going to have to go with my 6-shooters. Just love them. I thought they looked great. They had a strong presence. Great role models for the young ladies. I mean, I just love it. Happy birthday, Cassie. She's doing a great job. Bullspit, those lines for the concessions. I went to the restroom a couple times, and I could not believe how that line just wrapped around. So we just got to do better.
Yep, I agree.
How about you, Phillip?
James Palmer says his bullseye, improved defense, his bullspit, offense not as explosive. My bullseye, also the defense. Just really, really, I would use the word incredible. I know Leo won't do that. He wants to leave them room to improve. That's fair. You can do that. Hey, looky there, RC.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, young lady. Very good to see you hop on. And RC has just been absolutely bubbly about your girls and your squad and you and all of the things. She's wearing her 6-shooter shirt. They're awesome. So my bullseye would be the defense. Look, you're not gonna shut them down 100%. You're gonna give up some boners. Sometimes you're just gonna have a miscommunication in the defense, and it's gonna happen. I saw far less of that than any time last year, even when the defense got better. I saw a much, much improved defense, and I have taken Coach Tom Manas to task for his defense last year several times, and so I would be a very poor person to not come on when he has improved the defense as much as he has and not give all of the kudos to him for improving the defense the way he said he was going to. It looked better. It was noticeably better. It was dang near incredible, if not incredible. And I think that was the most awesome thing. My bull spit a month before I get to do that again? Are you kidding me? I got to watch it on TV and deal with bye weeks and stuff. We don't get to be back together in the Freeman Coliseum until April 26th. That is crazy. That is a long time that I have to go.
I got an idea.
I don't like that. What?
I got an idea, and you and Ralph are crazy enough to do it. You and Ralph should get together and do a play-by-play that we can listen to at the watch party, so that we don't have to listen to the other guys, because sometimes
that is true.
It's no fun listening to those other guys. So you and Ralph can actually get together online and stream a play-by-play that Gunslingers fans can listen to for the away games. Make it happen. Let's do this.
Do it.
No.
Because you need more work on your plate.
No. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I think it sounds like a lot of fun, but look, doing this thing is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Doing this thing through a video screen where I can't decide what I'm looking at or seeing for the color guy. And Leo, you did this the year that we did the Gunslingers, the very first year we did the broadcast. I did play-by-play and you did the analyst position. Not being able to see the things that you need to see on the field and relying on the cameraman makes the job virtually pointless. Anything I can point out, you can also see on the screen. And that's just that's not my job. Plus, I enjoy the one thing I enjoy about road games is that I get to just watch. I don't have to work. I don't have to concentrate on anything. I just get to sit back and angst and be a fan and wring my hands together as our team battles another team. And I enjoy that to a certain extent. James Palmer says, then just go with them and do it in the arena.
There you go.
Sure. There's one big problem with Saturday night games being on the road. I got to be back on Sunday morning kind of early because my job.
That's what the red eye's for.
That's not gonna work out.
Jay Washington, come on, Phil, do it for the people.
Do it for the people. Alex McSwain, bullseye. Jones and Jones, bull spit. Injuries to our wide receiver core. Of course. James Palmer says, this one's on Sunday. You're right. But I also have to work Sunday morning, and then I would have to find a way to get to San Jose and be ready for a game. I just don't think I can make that happen. Missions Highlighter, bullseye. Finally getting my Gunslingers tumbler, and it was on sale. And finally meeting Phil. Now I got to meet and take selfies with all three Smoking Guns podcast crew. But yeah, Bullspit is waiting a whole month for another home game. You're right. You're right. And when you're right, you're right. Jay Washington, RC, I'll try to match you with that hoodie one day. He's going to get a hold of 6 Shooters hoodie himself.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
I can get you one at the Gunslinger Nation. I'm going to see if I can go out this week for a practice.
There you go.
Do you know the practice schedule?
I don't, but somebody should. They are open practices as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yep. Shouldn't be too hard to find that out. Yeah.
Well, with all that being said, we will be back next week and we'll be talking about a win in Bay Area.
Yeah.
The Panthers. We will be talking about turning those Panthers into little kitty cats, right? Jay Washington full split the offense. When it comes to the best indoor football experience in the country, you might say it's up in Tulsa or over in Jacksonville.
Wrong.
You might say it's in Bay Area or somewhere in Arizona because there's like 3 teams out there. But we know when it comes to the premier indoor football experience, the 210 has got something to say.
Bang, bang. Get your guns up.
Jay Washington says, RC, if there's an XL, get him one.
Well, I'm gonna see if they run small, to be honest. Just like
Yeah,
all
they
the
do.
other female merchandise, they run small. So extra large, I may have to get you see if they have a 2 or 3X.
Gotcha. Thank you so much,
I'll
folks.
got you though.
There's 14 of you online. I got to tell you, this is one of our highest viewed shows in a long, long time. That means something. That means we're connecting, not just us, but the Gunslingers are connecting with folks. So continue to get the word out, not only about the Gunslingers, but about the show. Dolores says they're cropped, so you'll be showing some belly there. Just know they're a little shorter.
I don't think the one RC has is cropped, right? The one Loli's got, she got the gray
mine isn't,
one.
but there are other ones.
Yeah.
The one Loli's got,
Yes.
Jay would look,
That would not be a good look.
that would probably not be the best look.
I promise I will do a better job, and I will get this show out not tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm out of town tomorrow and away from my computer. It will be out on Wednesday, and I will make sure it gets out on Wednesday. When it gets out, please download it, even if you don't listen to it. Just hit play and wait about 10 or 15 seconds, and then if you don't want to listen to the rest of the show because you were already here for it, fine. That's cool. Don't worry about it. But downloads help us. Rate, rate, review. That all helps us.
Yes.
TJCYN41, where can you stream the games? Games are streamed in their entirety exclusively on the IFL Network. Go to iflnetwork.com, sign up for a 30-day free trial. You can watch the games on there free for 30 days. And then if you want to stay, it's $9.99 a month or $30 for the entire season, which is a heck of a deal.
And that's every game.
That's every game in the IFL, not just San Antonio. And so, yes, there is a pay feature, but they're going to give you 30 days to see if it's something that you can get into. So go ahead and jump to the IFL.com, iflnetwork.com, and sign up there.
I'll say something on that because I don't think people have said this, but I know it to be true. You don't even have to supply a credit card to get that 30-day free trial. A lot of places, they give you a 30-day free trial, but you got to give all the payment information up front.
Right, because they know you're going to forget, and then you're going to end up, I'm paying for Audible right now, and I've got 5 credits on my Audible because I keep forgetting to cancel it.
Yes, not here. All you have to do is create an account, and you're in. So once you create your account, you have 30 days.
Yeah. But please download, rate, review, do all of the things so that we can get our show in front of as many people in San Antonio and around the football community as we can so that we can get more people into the Freeman Coliseum for the Gunslingers. Folks, we got to get people there. We got to get people engaged. We got to get people involved. Don Rackler and James Stubing and Randy Carroll are great guys. But if they keep losing a ton of money, at some point they're going to say, we can't do this anymore. Let's not give them the opportunity to say that. Let's do everything we can to make sure they have every reason to keep this thing going as long as we want it. And that's our job. That's our job as fans, is to get it out in front of people. Go rate, review, and make sure you download the episode, please. Thank you so much for hanging on with us, and we will see you next week. Till then, guns up.
Guns up.